Oh, hello. Hello. Do, 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 do. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Boop, 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 boop. Howdy, Candace. Good to see you. We'll let some people meander on in here. Um, Not sure how I'm sounding. Hope I sound a little better than I did uh, over the weekend. It was really rough. We're going to do something a little different tonight, folks. I thought it would be fun. We've still got a few more old Jodester reels to look through. But since this is a long delayed episode because this information kind of came out a few weeks ago, kind of broken by Mormon Stories podcast and Hidden True Crime, that Jodi Hildebrandt actually had connections, as I've said before, to Connexions. Howdy, Lexi. Happy Tuesday. I have to take my trash out. Anyway, focusing. So, yeah, the craziest thing is that Jodi Hildebrandt actually was a friend and commentator. Like, one would say perhaps a colleague of Thom Harrison. That's Thom Harrison. Thom Harrison. This is a little recap. Who was the subject of the book Visions of Glory, which is a book that I now own thanks to Thrift Books. And it's a crazy book. It was Lori Vallow's favorite book. Still is, I believe, and Chad Daybell. It highly influenced Chad Daybell. There are, I've heard pretty accurate stories out there that Chad Daybell was and Julie Rowe were meeting with Thom Harrison of this Eternal Core podcast privately, that they were meeting with him privately at some point. So that's crazy. Please check out Hidden True Crime and Mormon Stories podcast for all the details on this because it is wild. So this, I believe, was like a few years ago, maybe, 4 years ago. This is Thom Harrison's podcast, the Eternal Core podcast. And guess what, folks? It's not online anymore. I kind of freaked out today because I was like, oh my God, it's not on their website anymore. But I found it. It's still on SoundCloud. So I figured we should take this opportunity before it disappears to listen to Jodi Hildebrandt 4 years ago talking on Thom Harrison's podcast for Eternal Core. And wait till you hear Thom Harrison. Like, wait till you hear him. He has the funniest little voice. He sounds like just the cutest little leprechaun you ever did hear. It's hard to explain. You'll understand momentarily, but whilst I listen to this, I will try to scroll through some of Connexions' old posts. Again, this Instagram didn't even start until maybe it started right around the same time as this podcast, but she was really getting in there. And so this is only episode 5 of Thom Harrison's podcast. Eternal Core, by the way, is known as a mental health practitioner of some sort. It's not a religion. It's not a business, really. Well, I guess it's a business, religion and spirituality podcast, though, with a focus on mental health. So it sounds like these people were mental health practitioners. Practicing Mormons, Oh, and the other big one in this story, who was part of this little group on Eternal Core, was Tim Ballard. And that's a whole other can of worms that I'm not even going to get into. So without further delay, let's listen to 4 years ago, Jodi Hildebrandt, The Counterfeit of Connection, hosted by our friends Thom Harrison of Visions of Glory. Spencer from Visions of Glory is Thom Harrison, and I think you'll be able to spot him instantly. His co-host is, I think, Ken Krogh. I think that's his name, who's another whole can of worms, but just guess which voice is Thom Harrison, is Spencer of Visions of Glory. You will just, hopefully it's not going to blast your ears out. Let's go.
Everybody, this is Ken Krogh and Thom Harrison with the Eternal Core podcast. We're excited today to have Jodi Hildebrandt. She's got a massive podcast following, 500,000 people. So we said, look, we want to be on your show next time, but for now she's on our show. She's remote, so you're going to see her dialing in through Skype on one of our separate videos.
Really quick, I'm going to step away from the computer for just a second. I will be listening, but I'm going to mute that. I'm going to pause every now and then to comment on this, and I will be listening the whole time. So let's continue, shall we?
Here. Welcome, Jodi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ken.
It's exciting to have you here with us, Jodi. Thanks for your willingness to come on.
Thank you.
Now, I understand we had a meeting in a...
Real quick, can you guess which one is Thom Harrison? Yeah, sorry, had to.
A local Chuckarama a little while ago to talk through this auspicious day. And wow, you've got some amazing things, an organization called Connexions. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how you got involved with all that?
Yeah, so Connexions kind of was created over a period of about 15 years. And the last about 5 or 6 years, I decided to change the name of my company from Sunrise Counseling to Connexions, because I started learning some principles about how to actually connect myself to God and teach other people how to connect. And so that's when I switched over to the name of Connexions.
Wonderful. Now, how in the world did you get into podcasting and have this many followers? I'm taking notes here. How'd you do all this? This is pretty cool.
Well, you know what? I lay in bed at night and think, I'm not quite sure how I got here.
Don't we all?
I was spiritually prompted to have a radio show one day, quote unquote, and I knew nobody in radio. And so I went to a family member and said, I need to start teaching people on a massive scale these principles of connection. And I need to get in touch with somebody in radio. And he said to me, well, why don't you have a podcast? And I'd never even heard of that word podcast before. And I said, what is it? And he said, well, a podcast goes to the whole world. It's on the internet. And I said, that is what I need right there. And I went out to southern Utah, where I was living at the time, and took a little microphone and stood in the desert and recorded my first podcast. And it's gone from there, all word of mouth.
You just did it. When was that roughly, Jodi?
What's that?
When did you do that? How long has it been?
That in the summer of 2014.
Wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
So did you have any lizards join your first podcast out there in the desert?
No, a few little gusts of wind. I got some red dirt in my mouth, but other than that, I was pretty much alone.
Oh, I love Dick.
And I just said, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Let me just teach you a principle I've learned over the past couple of years, and just started from teaching from a place of the principle of control and how control is so destructive inside relationships.
Wow.
Always.
Yes, always.
And so many people seem to think that that's the only way to have a relationship, is to have that element of control. But little do they know that they're destroying it right when it enters in.
That's exactly right. Well, that is the counterfeit of connection. I'd call it disconnect.
Right.
So there's two paths. There's a connected path and there's a disconnected path. And every choice we make either goes down a path of connection or a path that disconnects. So you're right. Every time control enters, they are actively disconnecting with each other and themselves.
Well, it stops that eternal flow. And
Yes.
anytime you control it, it's just like strangling that eternal flow.
Oopsie daisies. Hot Ham here. Ooh, it's getting out of control already. Did you enjoy the reptile bit? I thought that was pretty fun. Can you tell who Thom is? Here we go.
Flow, and what you're doing is you're actually stopping connections, eliminating. But I think so many people think that if they don't control it, then something horrible will happen. No, it's the opposite. When you stop controlling, then wonderful things start to happen.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly
Wonderful things.
So what were some of the first principles that you pulled together that had the most impact as you were focusing on connections? Teach us 2 or 3 of the things that would help us, even today, do better with our own connections.
Howdy, Chrissy.
Yeah, you bet. So again, this all came very slowly. And what I started realizing was that people were not willing, and I would call that humble, to be honest and responsible for themselves. And so over the course of probably 5 years, I figured out that connection is actually an outcome. Connection is governed by living 3 principles I've learned. You must be rigorously responsible. You must be impeccably honest. And you must be vulnerably humble. And as you learn what those principles mean, and then you choose to live those principles, you will have the outcome of connection. It cannot be controlled. Connection is this byproduct of living in what I call truth. And so I started learning about that when I first started my internship. After I got out of school, I did the school thing, got my license, didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I faked it really well. And that probably was helpful for me because I was humble. I was open. I was constantly saying, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing.
But allowing it to come slowly, as you said, it came slowly, and being open and being vulnerable allows those things to happen. I think a lot of people are frightened of that, but again, that is what allows it to happen.
Right.
That vulnerability.
Absolutely. It's exactly how I experienced.
Sorry, I'm not going to keep pausing it that much for this part. We'll get back to the reels after this, but so Thom Harrison, just really quick, you know who I pictured him as looking like? Even though he's the guy on my, you can Google him, Thom Harrison, Spencer, Visions of Glory, but he's on my thumbnail, and I kept picturing him as this person.
It was wonderful.
Oh,
Jarvis Oberblau Cornell. I mean, the ideas you put forth, and from someone so young and... It was wonderful.
Oh,
sorry,
Jarvis Oberblau Cornell.
But he doesn't look like him.
I mean, the ideas you put forth, and from...
Okay, I'm done. Sorry. I just had to get that out of my system.
Experienced it. And it happened so slowly that I didn't even realize that I was being taught from heaven. And my first client where I practiced these principles was a alcoholic and a drug addict. And he was a multi-millionaire, very powerful man, and nobody confronted him.
Right? Doesn't he sound just like that, Chrissy? I don't know. Just a thought.
And I was, late 20s, early 30s. I was nobody in his world, and he was in treatment. And I remember him becoming very angry one day and going off on his wife and his children and blaming everybody in his life for his problems. And I heard very clearly in my mind, confront him. And I was like, I don't know. He's really mad. I don't think that'll be good. And it was, again, confront him. And so I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but I followed that guidance. And I remember him sitting back. I said something along the lines of like, all right, yeah, you've had a hard life. And yeah, this and this and this happened. And your wife loves you and you have 3 children at home. And, and I just started speaking truth to him. And he sat back and it was silent after I got done. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I'm going to get fired. And he looked at me.
Yeah, you should have gotten fired. Sorry.
Me and said, how dare you? And I said, that's the truth. What you were speaking was not the truth. That is the truth. And I stood my position. And my supervisor came in about 30 minutes later and she goes, Jodi, I don't know you. And she said, but you're going to be a really good therapist. Said a few expletives to me. And she said,
What? Are you kidding me? What the hell are they talking about? This makes sense though. So this was a long time ago. Her first breakthrough was that she yelled at some guy and told him something that happened to ring true to him. So that meant that she was a genius and Joseph Smith was speaking through her, or she was having a vision of her glory. And she was like, that's the way that I am going to be a great therapist. Because apparently her supervisor was like, I should fire you. You're going to be a great therapist. Now I'm going to cuss at you. Yeah, it totally must have happened like that.
And don't do that again. Don't confront people like that again, because it really upset him. He wants you fired. But that's where it all started. And, to tell you, 5 years later, I got an email from that man and he said, Jodi, no one had ever confronted me in my life like that. And he said, and that's why I was sick. You were the only one that had the guts
he needs
to tell
more
me
friends.
The truth. And that is why I got well. And
Wow.
I said, well, you were nasty and you were mean and you scared me. And he's like, thank you for loving me enough to tell me the truth. You always were honest with me.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yes.
So I've had hundreds of experiences since then. I feel very empowered to speak truth to people because I watch people's lives heal, get connected.
Get connected.
Wow. Well, the thesis of our community that we're pulling together, as you know, Jodi, is what we.
Oh, so lovely to see you, lovely lady Lisa. I'm back and swinging.
Eternal core. And our goal is to explore God-centric mental health.
I wish I had refried beans.
There's been some really fun insights recently with us as we've been talking about what does eternal core mean? And I was going to see if Thom wouldn't mind just take a minute and share a couple of those principles.
Yeah, what
and then
does
let's
it
talk
mean?
through
What does it mean?
several of them if we could. I mean, even the first two, because I've just been through this process myself, coming back from a massive car accident and a head-on collision at 55 miles an hour that completely took me out of the game. And it was these principles. I had tried everything else. And we now have a good name. We call it Eternal Core. Do you mind just jumping in for a minute, Thom?
Well, I know that Jodi understands these things. The first one is I versus the I am. And, so many people get so caught up in that I structure of it's all about me and it's all about my needs and you better be meeting my needs.
It's all about me.
And moving out.
Sorry, one more time.
It was wonderful.
Oh!
Jarvis Oberblau Cornell. I mean, the ideas you put forth, and from someone so young and...
Anyways, back to the story.
Out of that control, I am, narcissistic, egocentric structure into I am, which is help me, teach me who I am. Help me see the larger me. Help
American
me see
dollars.
What's going on. And I think you just explained that with your example. This guy was so caught up in the I. And so, and everybody was bowing to the eye, that no one would call him out on it, and you called him out on it, and he became angry and tried to use all of his control and power to get you fired, and then nobody fired you, so I guess he thought, well, she's my therapist, maybe I have something to learn here. Any comment about that one?
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't looked at it from that angle, but that is true. I just felt fear. I mean, I really didn't know what I...
Sorry, I almost started like trolling her actual Instagram, but I'm not going to do that. I just really want to comment, but I can't.
I was doing other than I followed guidance. And I knew that I was speaking the truth. And I believe that when you speak the truth, you're connected. And so I didn't have all the pieces together at that point, but I knew that what he was saying was at some level creating sickness in him.
Right.
And then I also watched so many people literally bow to him because of his power and his prestige.
Yeah. So
and his
reinforcing
money.
that eye structure.
Absolutely. And, I worked at a treatment center where there were movie stars and people flew in private jets.
Cats.
That didn't animate anything in me. I didn't really, they were sick.
I don't understand this cat.
It's like, do you know who I am? I'm like, no. I know you're sick. Do you want some help? And so it helped that I was not in that eye with them.
Right.
And I could see. And as I continued to work with that population, it was the same.
Sorry, I have to interrupt again. I love these pictures of like stock photography of angry women with laptops. It's a whole like genre of stock photography. I only know because I'm a photographer, and there's always a demand for stock photography of angry or exhausted or exasperated women with laptops. And Jodi definitely got a really good one here. She definitely paid for a nice stock photography subscription. That's a nice one. Sorry.
Presentation over and over and over and over again. That arrogance, that entitlement, that false sense of power and importance.
Sorry.
When really they were just hurting and they were scared and they were lost. And they barked really loud, but they didn't have any structure or foundation.
Right. But Jodi refused to join him in that structure. And by doing that, that alone creates a modeling which starts a change.
Right.
And it starts modeling that connection.
Yes.
Where then they think, oh wow, this is a different connection. I am vulnerable here. I'm not used to being this vulnerable. I'm used to making everybody else vulnerable.
That's right.
Yeah.
Scared.
Yeah. The second process that we really hold true to in Eternal Core is the idea of the 3-act play.
Yeah.
That.
Okay, let me guess. The 3-act play. What could it be here at Eternal Core? Is it first act is you have to be Mormon. Second act is you have to have some sort of crazy vision and write a book about it and think you're the Messiah, perhaps, that you've been receiving messages from Joseph Smith or Jesus, and that incredibly can filter into your therapy practice. Wow, how about that? And then act 3, which is where people get murdered or abused, which seems to be going on kind of in this little gang of fun people. I don't know. What do I know?
That we were something before we came here. We are going through this process now, and this isn't all there is. There is something else out there. There are these 3-act structure. What do you think of that concept, Jodi?
Absolutely. I agree with it completely. And what it does is it helps myself. I like the word model for the people who come to me for help, that this is just a experience that they're having. And it's not personal, this life experience. It's not personal. It just is an opportunity for them to practice choosing. they start choosing. And here's some more principles that I have learned along my journey.
I love that. Practicing choice, practicing choosing. That's beautiful. Please go ahead.
So I've started realizing that there are only two paths in life. There is truth, which is honest, responsible, and humble. And there's distortion. Now, distortion came to me. I heard that in my mind, distorting the truth. And I was like, ooh. And I just turned it into a noun, distortion. So you are either choosing truth or you're choosing distortion, just like you're choosing connection or you're choosing disconnection. We're making thousands of decisions every single day because God grants us experience. And inside of our experience, there is what I call inevitable pain, and then there's optional pain. Optional pain is another word for distortion. Inevitable pain is called truth. But we as humans, because we're kind of pansies. We don't like pain. We always move away from pain. And pain is actually a very powerful concept because it teaches us about oppositional force. And so if I can empower my clients to understand that their choice is the thing that is motivating them to go one way or the other, then they feel a sense of strength and power and capability to heal themselves, quite frankly, because it is I that is perceiving onto the experience and choosing which direction I go with every choice, every single one of them. So there's no space for enabling. There's no space for blaming. There's no space for shame, which is another word for distortion. There's no place for it because I can choose to not buy into that stuff, which I just think is wonderful.
I think so many people think that psychology and therapy and psychiatry and mental health practice, that they're these secret, difficult concepts, but everyone that I've ever interacted with, like you, who has a successful program and a successful practice, has been able to bring it down to these very simple concepts that just most people don't do. You know, most people don't think of these very simple constructs and concepts which change lives.
Yes, it is very simple, and it is very challenging to see it happen in your own life. I was just talking to a guy the other day, and he said, my goodness, I sat in group, and you were helping so-and-so see control in his life, and I saw it, and I could see it, and it was so clear. And then an hour later in my own session, I couldn't see it with my wife. What is wrong with me?
Sorry, quick interruption. The cool thing about this interview, it was 4 years ago through Thom Harrison's podcast, which is removed from the internet now on all different formats that I have found, whether it's Spotify. It was there like a week ago. But I guess they forgot about their SoundCloud. Oops.
And I said, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just not used to looking at yourself that closely.
Right.
You could see him because he was outside you.
Right.
But you have to be vulnerable.
But there are those blinders that come on when we're dealing with self, because it's much easier to say it's my wife's problem, and instead of looking at what we're doing to contributing and moving into the complicity of those negative processes.
Jodi, I was just going to say, where's your audience primarily focused?
Where is your audience?
Couples? Is it parents? Is it individuals? Is it people challenged with addictions? I mean, where do you spend most of your time focusing?
Where are most of your victims?
Yeah, well,
put you on the spot.
So I started with addictions. And when I left my internship, I opened up my private practice, and that's predominantly who was referred to me, were people with addictions. And I, at the beginning, thought, in order to help somebody with a drug problem, that was different than helping somebody with an eating disorder or somebody who's a gambler. And then I started realizing through these principles that all of these addictions all had these common principles at play. And so then I started treating all addictions. And then I started realizing that, oh my goodness, this is actually for everyone. Like every single human is struggling with.
Sorry. keep accidentally muting myself or unmuting. I don't know. But yeah, basically she's like, yeah, I can do anything because I had a vision. And it's not just treating people for addictions that are real, but I'm going to start treating people for addictions that aren't real. Like freaking masturbation. Psychopath.
Understanding the power of choice and these two paths that are clearly outlined, and the fear of feeling inevitable pain, and that inevitable pain is a good thing. It's a teacher. And so I started out with addictions, and now it's kind of opened up to an audience of men, women, and children.
Wow. So you started in a focused, specific area, but your principles were universal. I mean, you're talking about truth and agency, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And how truth and agency frees / connects the human soul.
You sort of walked us through a bit of a case study already with the millionaire and confronting him openly with truth. What does it normally look like? What are the milestones as you're working with someone? You know, what do you do first, roughly? What do they have to realize first? Is there sort of a common pathway, or is it all over the map?
My lights just went out.
Yes, we're getting this very eerie look.
This is amazing.
You. You look like
we want the truth.
You look like you've just.
Oh my God, you guys, I forgot about this part. This part is so freaking crazy. I was like, oh my God, I was sick for too many weeks. I forgot to play this for you guys. This is the best when her power goes out. Her power goes out because she's evil. And it's really funny. Sorry, let me just rewind this.
First, roughly.
They must have stitched it together. I don't know what
do they have to realize first? Is there sort of a common pathway, or is it all over the map?
My lights just went out.
Yes, we're getting
yes.
this very eerie look of you. You look like
we want the truth.
You look like you've just moved into a tunnel there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness, my whole house just went dark.
I've had lots of things happen on podcasts, but we can still see you, by the way.
We can still see you.
There you go.
Your teeth
because
are
you're all
illuminating
evil.
you. Yes. I wish I was down there with my very strong flashlight. I would be shining it at you.
Check out my blue teeth.
I always wonder. I have really interesting things happen when I start speaking these principles.
Yeah, I
especially
bet.
if it's going to get out to a big audience.
Well, the darkness always wants to show its supremacy, doesn't it?
It does.
It always says, "Ha."
Did you hear that? Anybody remember the darkness? Anybody remember Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, how the children were being discussed, or basically anyone related to Lori Vallow who got in the way of her relationship with Chad Daybell was being marked as dark or light. It's all a Visions of Glory thing. It's all a Thom Harrison thing. It's crazy. I need to rewind that a little bit.
Watch, I'm going to do something.
Let me show you what I can do.
But this is kind of fun because we're getting this real time, this is fun,
smokes.
Yeah.
I
So
cannot tell
go
you.
ahead, continue
Yeah,
talking
you probably
about light.
forgot the
Maybe it'll
question.
change the other
there you
side.
go.
Okay.
We only
this
have
is
5
too-
minutes left, so we're going to
too funny.
continue this even with you in the dark.
This will be a
if you don't
record right
mind.
here. This will be one of our favorite episodes.
This will go down in the archives.
This is when Jodi went into the darkness.
Your favorite episode. Oh, she sure did. Your favorite oh yeah, let's re-listen to that. That's just
What was
So
our
here's what
question?
I
I
do.
don't remember our question.
I do. So you want to know what I do first, or what's my
Yeah.
process
What's
of
the
helping
pathway
people?
look like?
Yeah. So what I do is when someone is interested in working with me, is I will
Did I just fast forward?
Take an hour and a half, and just hear where they've been. And most people come in with numerous diagnoses, and I just listen to their history. I
just
ask
say,
lots of questions,
who needs
gather
them?
information, and what I'm listening for is they're just.
Remember our question?
I do.
Wait.
We're going to continue this. It's fun. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
I wish I was down.
Just listen to the giggles.
We can still see you, by the way.
We can still see you.
We can see you because we're evil.
Illuminating you, yes. I wish I was down there with my very strong flashlight. I would be shining it.
Can you imagine Thom Harrison with his very strong flashlight?
I always wonder. I have really interesting things happen when I start speaking these principles, especially if it's going to get out to a big audience.
Well, the darkness always wants to show its supremacy, doesn't it?
It does.
It always says, watch, I'm going to do something.
Let me show you what I can do.
But this is kind of fun because we're getting this real time,
They're just having a
this
blast.
is fun, yeah. So go ahead, continue talking about light. Maybe it'll change the other side.
I mean, the ideas you put
We only have 5
and
minutes
from
left, so
someone
we're going to continue this even with you in the dark.
This will be a
if you
record
don't
right
mind.
here. This will be one of our favorite episodes.
This will go down in the archives.
This is when Jodi went into the darkness.
Oh, that happened so long ago.
What was our question?
I
I don't remember our question.
Could
I
it
do.
be?
So you want to know what I do first, or what's my process?
What's the
helping
pathway
people?
look like?
Yeah. So what I do is when someone is interested in working with me, is I will just take an hour and a half and just hear where they've been. And most people come in with numerous diagnoses, and I just listen to their history. I ask lots of questions, gather information, and what I'm listening for
is what kind of mental illness I can make up
to how much truth they understand. And then I just put in my mind, I put all the diagnosis stuff over here and all the therapy, and I put it over here to the side, and I just start teaching them. I start teaching them about what impeccable honesty is, what rigorous responsibility looks like, and what vulnerable humility. So by the time they leave a 50-minute session or an hour and a half session, they have concrete tools that they can use against their own distortion.
Wow.
And then we just start from there.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Beautiful. What's their usual
I am
first
just mind
challenge?
blown.
Where do they start pushing back? Like this, the wealthy
guy.
How
do they push back after you?
I'm probably asking crazy.
Tied them
pushed
to
back
the floor.
and said, "I'm going to get you fired."
Yeah.
And I'm glad he was not successful, Jodi.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
Okay.
So the pushback is several sessions down the road when we have a little bit more safety between the two of us. And then I start going after their distortions because they like hiding behind their distortion. Like I can't, or this is too hard, or, I've been clinically depressed for 20 years and that's just the way I am. Yeah. And so I start really digging at those distortions and pushing on them. And the people who are afraid to not take responsibility, they're the ones that push back. People who are in pain and they want solutions, they welcome this stuff. It's like, the Hallelujah chorus when I start teaching them because they immediately recognize truth.
Wow. What a wow moment, Jodi. Great job. Yeah. People that are hurt and abused are happy to hear that you heard some sort of crap from God, like your lesbian God, that you're the new Josephina Smith. I don't know.
They're like, that makes so much sense. And oh my goodness, why has nobody ever told me this before? And that's as simple as this is. I'm like, well, it's simple in theory. Just get home and start practicing it. You're going to see how hard it is. And yes, it is simple. But that's usually the people that push back are the people who do not want to take responsibility for themselves. And they'll either work through it or they'll leave. They'll self-deport, which is fine.
Oh, they'll
I'm not interested in working with people who don't want to change.
Love it.
Got it.
That can become very fatiguing, can't it?
Yes.
It's always fatiguing when people
so much your
self-deport.
willingness to speak at the conference on September 29th. Excuse me, it's not September. It's
That's
March,
the next one.
March 29th and 30th at the Little America in Salt Lake City, Utah. But I'm sure that many people, after hearing this, will move to your podcast. Tell us where they can find that. Where can they locate
I know where to
you?
find that.
The
Still on
podcast
your
or the
silly old website.
Website name is Connections Classroom.
Don't worry, I'm not going to make you guys listen to it.
ConnectionsClassroom.com.
.com. That's
Jodi
right.
Hildebrandt.
Now it's spelled a little differently,
clap,
right?
clap.
It's spelled with an X in the middle, but you can get there either way.
Connection with an X in the middle, or get there anyway.
Ooh,
Thank
she
you
bought
so
both
much
URLs.
for your willingness to come on
Fancy.
today. And may
She
you
must be
have more
rich.
light in your home.
We already know you have it in your life.
Enjoy your
Yes, you have it in
darkness.
your life. May the lights come back on for
I'm
you.
sure she's got like 80 generators.
Yes, I will go find out what's going on.
This is one for our record books. Thanks, Jodi.
Yes.
We sure
Thanks
appreciate
so
it.
Sure
much.
is.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
It sure is. It sure is. How about that, folks? So that's what I have about that. We can go through the rest of these. So I was looking for other weird posts. So here's one from Facebook. Happy New Year's Eve. This is from 2018. Just finished our last masterclass video. We should release them in February 2019. And this is from a year ago, this comment. I blacked out her name. Jodi, you really thought you were getting away with this. We all know your tactics. It's so obvious. You got your psychology license revoked and now you can't practice, so you go and manipulate and scam people. And now you're using Ruby for your cult because she is an influencer. Just wow. This is ridiculous. When Ruby finds out, you are going down. I will make sure that she gets away from your brainwashing. You literally cannot brainwash everyone. We aren't that dumb. I hope your cult ends. So that's someone who apparently was acquainted before all of this broke. Here's another one. This is our post from July 4th, 2022. Oh, July 4th. Okay, these are the kind of men and women we all need to be. These comments. Okay, I blacked out her name just because I don't want to, like, out anybody. Hey, Jodi, I'm sorry to ask you this, but is it okay for my daughter to be gay? I'm having trouble with learning how to accept her, and I don't know if I can't, because it's not following the truth and principles I follow. That was posted 1 year ago. And someone responded, it is more than okay for her to be gay. She is your daughter, and it feels horrible to not be supported by your loved ones just for who you love. It is her personal choice, which shouldn't affect you, so please make sure she knows you have her back. But isn't that interesting? That Jodi never responded to this. She never said, this person, because this other commenter is not Jodi. She said, is it okay for my daughter to be gay? Because apparently the values that she holds and what she thinks, I guess, Jodi's group holds doesn't agree with her being okay with her daughter being gay. And Jodi never responded, it looks like. So that's interesting. Oh, and then I found this today. I looked up, you remember from the last episode, I was talking about, Lisa, she wasn't a real doctor, but she was a licensed mental health practitioner in the state of Utah until she actually gave that up like a month ago voluntarily because of this issue. That's what's insane. And she's still a part of the Mormon Church, I believe. She's not been excommunicated as far as I know. I don't believe Thom Harrison has either. Tim Ballard has. Chad Daybell, I think so. I'm not sure. They don't really talk about the Daybell case in Utah. I mean, the Mormons, they don't really address the Daybell case at all. That's a theme with these cases. Tim Ballard has been their most public case, I think. This one's not good, though. So this was that podcast that was in their reels the other day. Here's the full description. I can't find it. The Seawick Media Latter-day Saints thing by Greg Mattson. He's a podcast that had them on August 4th, 2022. It's an hour-long podcast. I really wish I could hear it, but it's gone. I can't get it anywhere. I'm looking everywhere, and I can't find it on the Wayback Machine. If anybody finds it, please let me know. My email is djhotham@gmail.com. because I want to hear this episode from August 4th, 2022. Show notes. It's like their only show that's ever been removed. You can't get it anywhere. Ruby Franke of 8 Passengers YouTube channel with 4 million subscribers. Did you catch that in that reel last night when she was saying at her height of her YouTube channel she had 4 million subscribers, but I guess a bunch of them hit the road because everybody was criticizing her for abusing her children and making money off of it. So she had gone down to like 2.3 million. So a lot of people unsubscribed from her. But at her height, just on YouTube, she had 4 million subscribers. That's insane. Ruby Franke. Okay. What changed? Ruby Franke had it all. 4 million YouTube subscribers, large corporate sponsors, and everyone loved the YouTube mom. Then she hit a wall of truth, principles, and change when she met Jodi Hildebrandt. Ruby decided to change her channel's focus from appeasing mother to principled mother. Suffice it to say, no one liked it. Her large corporate sponsors bailed. Her fan base shrunk. And the hateful mob came out to attack. Side note, no, I think people unfollowed because she was abusing her children on screen, but probably also because of this. In this episode, we talk about the principles that Jodi taught Ruby, Ruby's transformation, and why they are now teaming up. Jodi and Ruby are rare eggs. They sure are. They stick to their guns and decide to speak the truth, regardless of the consequences. Join us as the three of us talk about personal responsibility, our false perceptions, and how truth can actually change our lives. And good luck finding any info. It's gone. But I need to hear it. I need it in my life. You guys want to go for a few reels here? Or was that too intense? Reels. Oops, not those. Where'd we leave off here? Let's have a laugh or two. Although it's getting dark. The lights have gone out. In the house of Jodi Hildebrandt. Oh, there's the big bell. Oh, there's the depressing abortion one. Are you a controlling parent? Are you a controlling parent? Let's go.
How do you know if you are a
I don't know
parent?
if we watched this.
What is it that
literally
you
can't tell?
So we have this idea that controlling parents are parents who make their kids do something that the kids don't want to do. Did you know that a controlling parent is also a parent who doesn't expect anything from their children and allows the child to do whatever they want? That's also a controlling parent. Being a parent is a position of power. You have a responsibility and you have an obligation and a duty to show up being wise, being a guide, being an instructor for your child. And your children are showing up saying, I won't do that. No, I don't want to. If you're in a position of power and you turn your power and
I
give
hate
it
how
over
she
to
talks
the
to
kids,
people too.
that is
Your
control.
children?
How do you know if you are a controlling?
If I tell you to, if I tell you that you're a controlling parent, then that means that you're a controlling parent. That's what I mean, okay? Ooh, we're getting to loving ourselves. Check out this. Same with thoughts, by the way. Suppressing your thoughts only. Yeah, 100%. This person's right. Suppressing your sexuality or suppressing, yeah, makes it worse. That's what the scientists say. Do you love yourself? You'd better not. You'd better not love yourselves. Not in that special way, or else that means you're an addict. That's right.
To loving yourself, but you're not principled about it, you're going to slip. You're going to hurt yourself. That's where it goes into the selfishness. You have to have the principles with the soul in order for it to be self-love. Otherwise, you get pulled into the distortion of just caring about myself. I'm just putting myself first in everything, but I'm not boundaried around it. And so it goes very quickly downhill into selfishness.
Yeah. And that transitions right into when I make choices because they feel right. Instead of making choices because of principles, or taking my choice and comparing and juxtaposing them to principles, I just say, well, I want this. And so if I want this and I feel good about it, then it must be self-love because it feels good.
If you go into loving yourself, but you're not principled about it, you're going to slip. You're going to hurt yourself. That's where it goes into the selfishness.
You have
to have the principles with the soul in order for it to be self-love.
Because now we're at the point where
you get pulled into the
God, I can't listen to him.
Caring about myself. I'm just putting
Stop talking. Thank you. Sorry. Oh Lord, look at me. Look at me. I'm just all over the place. No, I just need I need us to all look. I need us to examine the body language because it's going to get really funny.
God has asked us, if we're going to be sexual, that we do it inside the institution, the constructs of a marriage. And not just a marriage, just, I go and I get married, but a marriage between a man and a woman who love God, which means they individually love God. So there's no lust in your marriage. It's I love me, I love God, and so therefore I truly love you, which means
sounds like she's got a bunch of cats running around back there.
I will never
rattlesnakes
use you to make me feel better. God has asked us, if we're going to be sexual, that we do it inside the institution, the constructs of a marriage. And not just a marriage, just, I go and I get married, but a marriage between a man and a woman.
I get married.
Who
Your job is not to provide them with a father.
Right.
Your
this
child
is important.
Is not to provide them with a magical childhood.
Oh, right.
I'm going to do a video on that coming up.
Your job is just to
your job is not to make
have
sure
children.
that your children are accepted by their peers, or that they have friends or birthday parties or Christmas presents.
Oh, that's nice.
Like the list of things that people think children need today are astronomical and very unrealistic. Your job is solely to love your children in the truth.
Which means not act like you love them at all, or help them in any physical way.
It doesn't take the pain away. It doesn't take away the need to eat. And it doesn't take away the need to have a roof over your head. And hopefully that simplifies what you're responsible for. Your job is not to provide them
this
with
commenter,
a father. Your child is not.
Be quiet. So she says eating is a right? I thought it was a privilege. I don't have time for this nonsense. This couple of...
Ruby, I have heard this term called mommy guilt quite a bit. Have you heard that? Or maybe you use that term?
I've never heard of that in my life.
Every time I hear that term, I think, that doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't sound like it's in truth.
Well, it's a term, it's a phrase that everyone assumes they know what it means, and it's used. I mean, I've heard it from parenting magazines to blogs. You've seen it on all kinds
people
of
like
media.
you cause it.
What exactly is it?
Yeah.
The title of mother is one of dignity and honor and respect. Stop devaluing the title mother
that got heavy
by connecting it with a lie. Your choices that you're making every day around your children has nothing to do with who you are or your title as a mother. Your choices of what you're doing and not doing throughout the day is about your agency.
You know, Ruby, I have heard this term called...
That was so scary.
Are you having a hard time keeping up with your to-do list? Make a healthy dinner. Go grocery shopping. Making sure the kids look Instagram worthy. Make sure kids are socialized. I know what that sounds like. Help kids with your homework. I mean their homework. Do the laundry and disinfect all the water bottles.
What?
You know which one has become really quite invasive? Is making sure that you, the parent, develop your child's talents.
You people are rich enough. You can get one of those bottle sanitizers.
There is a whole list of items that you believe you are responsible for. And here's the truth. You are only responsible for one thing. And it is not to make sure your child gets into college. And it is not to make sure your child is the most talented kid on the block. And it is not to make sure they are entrepreneurs by the time they are 10. And it is not to run your 8-year-old's calendar. How did my 8-year-old get his own calendar? Moms, rip up your to-do list, move out of the van, and back into your house.
Yo.
So I can only imagine what you are thinking when you
37
hear Jodi and me talk
American years
about
old,
making sure you as the parent
and I could
teach your
barely
child
keep up a
about
calendar of my own.
principles of truth. You're thinking, oh great. One more item on my to-do list. One more thing.
Are you kidding me?
But what I am here to tell you is that you are only responsible for one thing. Forget all of the rest of that to-do list. You are
I'm
only
going into distortion.
to teach your child
I am
principles
going
of
into
truth,
distortion.
so they can show up as a self-governing, high-charactered individual. You're welcome. Yep, that's right. Moms, dads,
welcome.
You are not overwhelmed because your kids are being disobedient. And you're not overwhelmed because there's too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you have forgotten, or no one ever told you, what your sole, your one responsibility actually is. I want to invite you to join us in sunny St. George on October 28th and 29th. Come learn about what your responsibility is as a parent and what it isn't. Life gets really simple when you learn about what you're responsible for and what you're not. And the good news is you're only responsible for one thing.
Dude, I'm in distortion. I gotta just pause this for a minute because that's freaking me out. Did she basically just say back there that like she's not responsible for her kid's calendar? That's freaking insane. If I didn't like keep track of my daughter's calendar at age 5, she'd be like, I don't know, the school would probably call CPS on me. They'd be like, what? You're her mother. Hello? All right, I think I got a few more minutes in. Why don't you guys listen to that one more time, and I'll just let you stew in that madness for a second. I need to use the little ladies' ham room and check on Hot Ham Jr. and make sure she's not, make sure she's writing her calendar. First of all, God forbid she sleep. She probably should, hopefully she's got her planner. Hopefully she's got, maybe I should hire her a personal assistant. Oh, don't have enough money for that. Yeah. BRB, don't go into distortion. Don't go into the darkness. BRB.
Are you having a hard time keeping up with your to-do list? Make a healthy dinner. Go grocery shopping. Making sure the kids look Instagram worthy. Make sure kids are socialized. I know what that sounds like. Help kids with your homework. I mean their homework. Do the laundry
and disinfect all the water bottles. You know which one has become really quite invasive? Is making sure that you, the parent, develop your child's talents. Yeah, that's a fun one. There is a whole laundry list of items that you believe you are responsible for. And here's the truth. You are only responsible for one thing. And it is not to make sure your child gets into college. And it is not to make sure your child is the most talented kid on the block. And it is not to make sure they are entrepreneurs by the time they are 10. And it is not to run your 8-year-old's calendar. How did my 8-year-old get his own calendar? Moms, rip up your to-do list, move out of the van, and back into your house. So I can only imagine what you are thinking when you hear Jodi and me talk about making sure you as the parent teach your child about principles of truth. You're thinking, oh great. One more item on my to-do list, one more thing. But what I am here to tell you is that you are only responsible for one thing. Forget all of the rest of that to-do list. You are only responsible to teach your child principles of truth so they can show up as a self-governing, high-charactered individual. You're welcome. Yep, that's right. Moms, dads, you are not overwhelmed because your kids are being disobedient. And you're not overwhelmed because there's too much to do. You're overwhelmed because you have forgotten, or no one ever told you, what your sole, your one responsibility actually is. I want to invite you to join us in sunny St. George on October 28th and 29th. Come learn about what your responsibility is as a parent and what it isn't. Life gets really simple when you learn about what you're responsible for and what you're not. And the good news is you're only responsible for one thing.
And she doesn't tell us what that is. Yeah. Wow. Can't fix this screen, sorry. Maybe I can. Nope. Are feelings the same as disordered thoughts? What? Ooh, you guys got to see these comments. If I can ever get it to work. Here we go. It's my fault. I keep like making things smaller, making things bigger. Are feelings the same as discarded thoughts? It won't let me make it smaller. Oh well. Oh well.
There's nothing that you've done or nothing that you think you've done that is outside the reach
that I think I've done
of God healing you. Nothing. And I could sit here and name all sorts of things that people have done and things that I have done, and nothing is outside that reach of being seen and healed by God.
The shade. Someone please help this woman find a concealer that's her shade.
You think you've done that is outside
that's the least of her problems.
Of God.
That one is from 57 weeks ago.
Nothing. And I could sit here and name all sorts of things that people have done and things that I have done, and nothing is outside that reach of being seen and healed by God. There is nothing that
Thank you for that. Ooh,
Today
mommy
we're going
memes.
to be talking about
mommy.
Okay, first let's look at these comments. What do we got here? Anything good? Okay, these are new. Old ones. Memes are not that deep. You make 0 sense, woman. So now we can't laugh at things we think is funny or can relate to. Oh, this is when people were getting really mad 57 weeks ago. You guys must be fun at parties. you need help. Okay. Well, I wish these new people wouldn't comment. You know, it's so pure when it's like the people before.
Memes.
I know
I'm
that sounds
sure
crazy.
Many of you have come across some memes on Facebook or on Instagram.
Oh, I've seen a meme
Pinterest
or two.
is a big place for memes.
That is funny, actually.
Largely, we go to those to get relief and to laugh and to make light of some of the challenges of motherhood. I'm sure you have seen many of them and have laughed yourself. We're actually shedding a light on how dangerous and destructive these memes are and give you an angle that you probably haven't considered before. What these memes are doing is really destroying the sanctity of the calling of mother.
Genius.
Mother is an empowering position, a position that is given to us by our Creator. And to take that and to covertly mock it is going to be dangerous for you and for your child. It really undermines the value that mothers bring. Today we're going to be talking about mommy.
No thanks.
When you start learning the principles of mechanics, now you can better understand.
Oh, we're going to learn about the principles of mechanics. Does she mean like the principles of becoming a car mechanic? She should do that. That would probably be better for all involved. Anything old? Ruby, why are you in Sherry's room when you don't even talk to her? Damn, 57 weeks ago. Okay, so we know that happened. So we're right in the crux of when Sherry stopped talking to her mom. September 15th, 2022. Ooh, 58 weeks ago. Even your face tells you're rotten inside. Stop the madness. Yet you can't see your master manipulation. This is so, so sad. Look at all these likes. I bet it's like her family and her sisters and stuff.
Understand the motive.
Oh, we're talking about becoming a mechanic. That's right.
You're a car mechanic. I'll admit,
the motive of my car mechanic.
I am clueless when it comes to principles of car mechanics. So I could easily be manipulated because I'm not going to see the agenda of my car mechanic.
Yeah, that's why you got to get a good car mechanic. Yeah.
Could say, oh, you got a problem here and here and here, and it's going to cost you $2,000. And I'll say, okay, I know the principles that go into connection. And so a lot of you say, how can you read this and say, you know, so much? You're making stuff up. It's like, well, no, I just understand how these principles work. I understand that you can't have a nice, sweet, loving, truthful young man at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 7 at night, he's found in bed sleeping with his girlfriend and lying about it and sneaking and vaping all of a sudden.
Vaping?
Like, that's just not going to happen.
Mechanics who vape?
When you start learning the principles of mechanics, now you can better understand the motive of your car mechanic. I'll admit, I am clueless when it comes to principles of car mechanics.
I just want to hear about the vaping.
I could easily be manipulated because I'm not going to see
and sleeping with your girlfriend.
Mechanic. He could
connection.
say, "Oh, you got a problem here and here and here," and
show me the connection.
Cost you $2,000, and I'll say, "Okay, I know the principles that go into connection." And so a lot of you say, how can you read this and say, you know, so much? You're making stuff up. It's like, well, no, I just understand how these principles work. I understand that you can't have a nice, sweet, loving, truthful young man at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 7 at night, he's found in bed sleeping with his girlfriend.
Oh, what an
and
evil,
lying about
evil
it and
child.
And vaping all of a sudden overnight. Like
sleeping with
girlfriends. That's just not going to happen. When you start learning the principles of mechanics, now you can better understand the motive of your car mechanic. I'll admit, I am clueless when it comes to principles of car mechanics. So I could easily be manipulated.
Lisa, what is she doing to her mechanic?
See the agenda of my car mechanic. He could say, "Oh, you got."
I wish I could see the agenda of her car mechanic. Where are we? Mommy guilt. Wait, was that? Did we see making? Yeah, we did. Oh, sorry. Thumbnail deceived me. Car mechanics and principles. The thumbnails are sometimes really weird. whatever. Divorce? I love that one lady. There's this one lady that keeps commenting who's like,
so here's another
divorce?
One. Shopping with
She's
kids,
just waiting for that divorce.
Versus how it feels.
Wow. Wow.
Reacting to mommy memes. Here's the comments. It's not that deep. How are your kids though? Oh, that's right. They nor your family want anything to do with you. Damn. This is all old. You guys are reaching, LOL. Divorce. Someone is so excited about divorce. I guess with Kevin Frankie. I don't get it. Are they rooting for... I don't know. Y'all are a joke. It's really not that deep. Shut up. Nobody asked. Take a joke. Thank you. Somebody needed to address the toxic mommy culture subject. It's so frustrating. Oh, we got a lover over here. We got a fangirl. Oh, Allie Beth's. Have you guys heard about Allie Beth Stuckey? Of course, she did a podcast on that very thing. Yes. This person 6 weeks ago. So you really are insane enough to believe these two evil fucks. Continuing.
Yeah, so how it looks, you've got the mom smiling and the child, and then how it feels is the kid is a bomb ready to go off. I never know what they're going to do, how they're going to respond. Well, guess what? That is the truth around you too. You were once one of those little ones in a cart, and someone called your mother or your father took you to stores. And how sad it would be if they thought about you as a bomb ready to go off.
Well, this just highlights the fear that mothers are having toward their children.
Yeah.
I am scared of my child.
Right, right.
This is mind-blowingly ironic. Yeah. Yeah, how dare you be afraid of your child like having a tantrum in a public place when you could just lock them up at home in a giant like prison and leave them for days on end. How dare you feel shame about going to the store with your unruly children when you could just, put them in prison or whatever. It's mind-blowing, you guys. This is mind-blowing that there are people, and look at these comments, like people are agreeing with this. Someone said, thank you. Somebody needed to address the toxic, unless that's just like a, Allie Beth Stuckey, bot or whatever the word is. This is all marketing. I sometimes wonder if these people
and I want to control them, and I can't control them, and I
going into
resent it.
distortion.
I'm walking on eggshells because they might go off at any moment. And the reality is children are little people.
The reality is children are little people that you can control. Why be scared of them when you can just like physically prevent them from, when you can just abuse them? Apparently this is just mind-blowing. That's her rationale, is like, I'm not scared. It's not like she's not mad at the mommies in the memes. She's mad at the kids. She's mad. She's like, how dare, I can't believe it's gotten to this point where children have abused their parents to this point. It's just a wild way of looking at the world.
Learning how to be
really,
grown-up
really
people.
Fucked up.
And it's your responsibility to teach them.
Like her
So
poor
here's another
children.
one. Shopping with kids, how it looks versus how it feels.
Yeah, this is
Wow.
disgusting.
Wow.
Sorry, that one like really got to me. It's like, wow, the world has gotten to a really scary place when people are scared to go out with their children. It's like, yeah, maybe you should actually teach people how to connect with their children and communicate with their children so that they stop. Obviously there's something going on where they're not feeling good, or something's going on with they're having a tantrum for some reason. Why don't you listen to them? Because they're human beings. How about that? Sorry, I'm not being that funny today. We're getting into major hot ham distortion world. I don't know how many more of these I can take. Boundaries. Oh no. Oh, You have to set up your boundaries for your young children. Don't forget, it's because you don't. It's like, okay, this is going to be a good one, I can tell. Look at this one. What's BFFR mean? BFFR? Is that best friends forever? Is that like boomer BFF? Oh, BFing for real. That's what it is. It's not boomer BFF. BFing for real. Effing whatever. 57 weeks ago. So sad that you expect a 5-year-old to fix her own lunch. Okay, so is Ruby in this? What a joke. Imagine not brinning your 60. What? Is this about Ruby? I guess we have to watch the video. Interesting. Stop with this delusional advice you guys are giving. Absolutely crazy. Shut up. These are all old.
She's learned that you don't mean what you say, that you hold her accountable, and then at some point you stop holding her accountable. Like, you said it takes 3 times to get her to do something. So instead of it being multiple times to tell her to do something, why don't you tell her to do something once and then have a boundary? So that you're not teaching her to be told multiple times.
Cheers to that, Lisa. We can all have a laugh over here. Hot Ham is taking her medicine. But yeah, save the children. Too many are being abused. Save the children from these crazy people who say they are saving children, who happen to be followers or fans of Thom Harrison in the Mormon Church. Save the children, please. LDS Church, please. Could you please pay attention? Thank you.
You saying, hey, will you take your dish off the plate, or will you take your plate off the counter and put it in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink? And you keep saying that? She's just learning.
Yeah, because kids
just wait till you stop saying it.
No, she's not.
Versus
kids.
Will you put your plate in the sink?
No. Kids, you have to repeat things. That's normal. It's very normal in child development. Especially in a world like this where every kid is going to be like ADD because they're growing up with all this technology and screens and stuff going on and not knowing what's real and what's not, what's make-believe, what's not, what's real life, what's not. And God, it makes me crazy that she's getting fucking mad about having to repeat herself to a child, to a 5-year-old. Oh, I'm going to start this over because I'm worried I heard it in distortion and maybe put words into her mouth, but I don't think so. Ugh.
She's learned that you don't mean what you say, that you hold her accountable, and then at some point you stop holding her accountable. Like, you said it takes 3 times to get her to do.
Hey, LW, good to see you. I really appreciated your comments the other day also about PragerU. I think you were the one. That's going to be my next deep dive. I'm still going to keep deep diving this, but PragerU is on the list. Because, wow. I think that was ULW who brought that up to my attention. Let's keep listening to this lovely person.
Do something. So instead of it being multiple times to tell her to do something, why don't you tell her to do something once and then have a boundary? So that you're not
boundaries
teaching
up.
her
Sorry, bro.
Be told multiple times.
Mommy's out. Mommy's done. Mommy's out.
Hey, will you take your dish off the plate, or will you take your plate off the counter and put it in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink? Hey, will you put your plate in the sink?
I have a good way to do that. I just use her middle name. And then she does it. I just have to like snap her out of it. I could say the same thing to my daughter, who's 5, like 8 times within 30 seconds, and she literally will not hear me. And to the point where I'm just like, Hot Ham Jr. middle name. And she's like, what? Sorry. But
Just
Jodi can't
learning
handle
to
that.
Just wait till you stop saying it. Versus, will you put your plate in the sink? And then you go over and you pick her up and you have some kind of an outcome that's going to get her attention, whatever that is. She's learned that you don't mean what you say, that you hold her accountable, and then at some point you stop holding her accountable. Like, you said it takes 3 times to get her to do something. So instead of it being multiple times to tell her to do something, why don't you tell her to do something once and then have a boundary?
Sorry, I'm just like in distortion completely. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, like when I'm serious about her middle name, I'm never like, she acts, honestly, my daughter acts like I'm the meanest psychopath ever. Like in public sometimes, I'm like, hello, like you're acting like I'm Jodi Hildebrandt or something. I'm not, like, I don't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. It's like people are looking at me. Meanwhile, I'm mostly worried about keeping up with her calendar and making sure that she has food. And oh my God, I have to pack the costume. I have to pack the change of clothes for this day. I have to join this thing for this teacher conference. I have to join this thing for this like book reading goal. I have to do this fundraising thing to see how many acts of kindness. Like there's so many things to do as a mom because that's what it is to be a mom, and it's great. And I am so appreciative of my daughter's public school because it's freaking awesome so far. And she's only in kindergarten, but she loves it. It's like right across the street from our house. It's a blue ribbon school. They have like 4 different kindergartens so they can kind of focus on, the needs of each child. They have like extra resources. We lucked out. And I thank God for that. So I will keep up with her schedule because I have to work full time and I have to come on here and jabber about child abusers because it's my outlet. But it just blows my mind that these people can't handle that. Whereas if they were to just like change their expectations or their reality or their truths a little bit, their lives would be so much easier. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it, ladies. Sorry.
If I'm going to go out and do my nails, per se, there's nothing inherently inappropriate or distorted about doing your nails. However, if I go and do my nails because...
I'm really sorry about that, guys. I didn't have a... Oh my goodness. I just hope, was that actually her nails?
Because I'm feeling ugly or I'm wanting to have some social activity with somebody and I don't have any of my friends around, and so I want to go engage with the people at the nail salon because I want to distract myself because my life is not comfortable, then those would be motives that would not be responsible. Like I'm using that motive to distract from standing in a place of truth. If I'm going to go out and do...
can we talk... Thank God they're not Jodi's hands. She could use a little mani-pedi, I think, after all that wall climbing.
Let's say...
Oh, speaking of triggered, here we are. What can you do when you feel triggered? See you later. Is this for free? Nope, it's $21 a month. You can only ask 1 question a month. Thank you. Oh, I got a cough. Sorry. Unfollow this page.
Or you wake up and your child has poured milk all over the floor, or something goes on in your life and you're really triggered and you're not quite sure how to respond inside Principles of Truth. You come and you contact us through Volley and say, here's the situation. Here's what I just read into. I'm not quite sure how to engage in truth. I don't.
Volley. Interesting. Is that like volleyball? Sounds like some Keith Raniere shit. Remember Keith Raniere would have his volleyball late night philosophical hookups.
Don't want to engage in distortion anymore. I've lived 10, 15, 30 years of distortion. I don't want to do that. Help me understand how to engage this in a truthful way, and also help me understand the distortion that's going on, because I don't want to go back to those old patterns. And I want to be able to see it so that I can recognize it in other circumstances, and then I can also teach it to other people. So 2 ways to engage with us. One is privately, and one is inside of a group setting. So really excited you're with us. We are thrilled to get this going. Let's say you get on the subway, or you wake up and your child has poured.
I'm really sorry about the middle name thing. Maybe I should stop using her middle name, but I like her middle name. She likes it too. She just like doesn't pay attention until she hears it.
Milk all over the floor, or something goes on in your life and you're really triggered and you're not quite sure how to respond inside Principles of Truth. You come and you contact us through Volley and say, here's the situation. Here's what I just ran into. I'm not quite sure how to engage in truth. I don't want to engage in distortion anymore. I've lived 10, 15, 30 years of distortion. I don't want to do
hear
that.
Some of those
Help
responses.
me understand how to engage this in a truthful way, and also help me understand the distortion that's going on, because I don't want to go back to those.
This is when she's in. We are in batshit crazy land now. Fully. We are fully in batshit land, you guys. I didn't expect to go this far. LW, you got to go back and listen to the beginning, because I definitely, we did a fun little listen to her interview, her only, I think, interview with Thom Harrison on Eternal Core podcast, which is now wiped from the internet. Except for this one SoundCloud that they forgot about because they're stupid. They're too busy having visions of glory. Got a cough. I'm so sorry. I thought I took enough prednisone. And you can hear I need a new chair, you guys. Mine creaks a lot. I'm really sorry. What can you do? I guess I'm not enough though. I always remember when I feel like my chair is too creaky or my elevator isn't going to the top floor. I just remember to pop my ears and cough and tell myself that I am not enough, and that I bought that book, and that I'm sorry, and I will burn it. I'm really angry about that. But I will burn it. Winter's coming. Don't worry. I will film burning it. I literally will film burning it. And put it on her Amazon. I should be like, you know how on Amazon. Oh, thanks, LW. I can fix them too, but I don't want to like go back and edit this, because then if I edit this later, it'll take away the live chat. So I like having the live chat here preserved as one full entity, and then I can go back and maybe take clips. I mean, edit out my creaky chair, but what was I just saying? I'm in distortion. Oh, the book. I can do the book burning. Even though that's like super fascist. I don't like book burnings, but I just want to not own that book anymore, and I don't want to give it to anybody because it's horrifying. And I don't want like someone to accidentally read it in my house, and I don't want to throw it away because maybe the trash man will read it. The trash can will read it. I don't know. I don't want anybody to read it. So I will make a video of myself burning that book. And I will post it on Amazon's verified purchase reviews as a wonderful book that helped me through a difficult time.
Only imagine what you are thinking when you hear Jodi and me talk about making sure you as the parent teach your child about principles of truth. You're thinking, oh, great. One more item on my to-do list. One more thing. But what I am here to tell you
put it on a freaking calendar.
That you are
if you can afford to go to this St. George experience,
forget
you
all
can
of the
afford a
rest
calendar
of that
or a personal
to-do
assistant.
list. You are only responsible to teach your child principles
Good idea,
of truth,
LW.
so they can show up.
I'll probably just keep the book and put like a lock and key over it somewhere, or I'll just write
individual. You're welcome. So I can only imagine what
it's actually. I need to skedaddle out of here pretty soon because I'm getting a little looped, but because I took cough medicine, but yeah, I don't actually believe in burning books. But it would be really funny to post a video of me burning that book to her Amazon profile page because the book is still available for sale. Oh, Amazon would just ban me. Big Daddy Bezos would ban me, probably. Can't have that. But yeah, I'll just keep it, I'll just tell my kid, this is a book for stupid people. If you want to grow up and be stupid, you can read it. And maybe when you're old enough, you can make fun of it. This comment, can your kids eat your principles of truth? No. This is the last one, guys. Hot ham's burning out. It's better to burn out than to fade away. Let's look at these comments. My spirit thinks you are disturbed. Oh, these are new. I write your words. Be honest, responsible, humble in my planner each week. So glad I found you two on YouTube. Whoa, that's real. 56 weeks ago. The response. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Do you even realize how they can brainwash you? Make people around you stop talking to you? If you're looking for real, I like the way this person spells. A real therapist, then go to a real one. Love that. That's a fantastic comment. Very strange. Yeah, real winner is now going to prison. That was whatever. You guys ready? Let's hear it. Are you guys frustrated with therapy? Also, I feel like this is around the time we can really zone in on their little microphones that are so silly, and I don't know if they work.
Because you are a...
No, that's not working. This is someone filming them while they are recording. I see. So the question is, does anyone ever edit these videos? Maybe these were what were on the... Maybe this is what was on the YouTube. But they had someone else over there like filming. So it looks really silly because it looks like they had these little fancy microphones and they were off because they have terrible audio.
You have a spirit inside you. Your spirit is governed by living and...
That's a great idea. I will you slurp that.
choosing principles of truth. And when people understand what that means, principles of truth,
no one ever will.
Then they have outcomes because they use their agency to choose principles of truth.
Oh.
The outcomes create connection.
Yeah.
Connection is a fruit of using agency in ways of truth.
Nice
and
cactus.
So along with
I don't know what's
connection
going on
comes
with Ruby,
peace.
but it's right
it comes
there.
clarity. I don't walk around any longer confused about stuff.
I don't walk around anymore with a cactus between my legs, but
confusion. But that's because someone is saying something that possibly is not in the truth, or something that I don't understand, and so I can ask questions. I have skills. How many times have I said that? I'm so grateful.
How many times have I said that I have skills?
skills because I just ran into an experience.
She's like, you do say that a lot.
So challenging because you are a soul.
One.
You have a spirit inside you. Your spirit is governed by living and choosing principles of truth.
Okay.
And when people
that was it, folks. I'm gonna go into distortion. Let's remember where we are. Remember where you are. Oh my God, we've got so much terrible stuff to look at. Frustrated with therapy. It looks like she's like leaning that way. That was on my last thumbnail, but that picture of Ruby, it looks like she's like frustrated with, and has like a bottle of wine. It looks like stock photography of like the angry woman with the laptop all over again, only it's like frustrated mom, frustrated Mormon mom with her bottle of wine and her blue Yeti. Of course, Jodi had to have a red blue Yeti. What a feminist. I'm going into I don't know. She talks a lot about fruit. I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I don't know what that could mean. Fruits are great. I love fruit. Anyways, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I will catch you all soon. We still have more to go. Be sure to catch the beginning of this if you didn't already, because it's crazy. And I do want to talk more about Thom Harrison and Visions of Glory, another wonderful book that I purchased used. And I will put the big label on it for my daughter that says, this is for people in distortion. She's gonna watch her go to kindergarten tomorrow. She has library class in the morning, I just realized. She's really I don't think she's heard me talk about distortion, even though I do make the joke a lot to people who don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm a rambling ham, but I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Yeah, LW, I'm feeling a little fruitylicious on this prednisone. Hopefully one day I'll be well again, but who knows? Everyone, treat yourselves well, treat your children better, treat your friends and family great. Do what you need to do. No, treat yourself and your children the best, though. And, I don't know. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, if you want to email me, I forgot to say this. Email me at djhotham@gmail.com or leave me a voicemail at 410-575-3733. See, I remembered. Catch y'all on the flippity flip. Beep.